So at the start of this year, a little game called Zelda was released. At the end of the year, a little game called Mario was released. But the big question is, which one is better? Which one did a better job at making a Zelda or Mario game? Which one is more fun? Well, we have our own very different opinions on that. See, I'm on the Zelda side.
And I'm wondering why everything has to be a competition. Mario.
And we're gonna battle it out in today's video. It's actually Halloween right now, hence my getup, and you were supposed to be in one, but it looks like you gave up on that.
I'm going as a middle-aged man who plays video games in his boxers.
You are rocking it.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely rocking it.
I thank you for that.
So we're gonna put our picks into the golden pumpkin behind us, and then the winning game will get pulled out of the pumpkin at the end of the video.
Wait a minute, how's there going to be a winner?
Well,
I'm not gonna concede.
We're gonna find out. I'm gonna beat you into the ground. That sounded...
That you are.
Yeah. So we have to preface this by saying that I am an absolute huge Zelda fan, while he is an absolute... I mean, you're a Mario fan,
I'm a
right?
huge Zelda and Mario fan. That's the thing.
You are a Zelda fan.
And that's kind of what makes this whole thing dynamic.
You didn't like Zelda.
No. See, that's a misconception.
Okay. I'm listening.
It's not that I think it's a bad game. I just didn't like it. Look, to me it just wasn't a Zelda game, and maybe I'm just coming from an old school approach, and maybe I'm just... I don't know, to me, I just didn't have fun with it, man. There's so many things to do, and I just get confused on like what buttons do what, and I set it down, and then I start it back up like 2 weeks later and forget my progress.
I can understand picking it back up later on and not really like knowing where you're at, or kind of having to relearn the game, because there was a lot to the game, and that kind of happens with a lot of open world RPG type games. Our foot's just touched, our feeties just touched. Whereas Mario is like, you've played Mario games for years, run, jump, platform, you kind of know what's up. So I do get that. But Zelda, for me, that was what Zelda was always supposed to be from the start, but Nintendo was limited by hardware capabilities. Like Zelda in its core, when it first started on NES, I feel like the newest Breath of the Wild was that game, just with a breath of fresh life in it, and it just felt like I was playing the game that I always envisioned I was playing when I was younger.
I liked the idea that they went with the whole open world concept. I liked that aspect. I'm not dogging the game for that. This huge world, bigger than any video game map I've ever played in. I thought that was awesome. The thing that kind of drew me out of it, of being a Zelda game, and to me it's just like playing almost like a Skyrim game more than anything else. It really seemed to me like they deviated way too much from the Zelda formula. You could have still had actual dungeons to go in. Now I know people are going to say, oh, but the shrines are the dungeons. To me, that just wasn't the same thing. It wasn't these big massive dungeons that you go in that I'm used to in Zelda games. Whether it be a big dungeon in Link to the Past or the Water Temple and Ocarina of Time, whenever I play a Zelda game, that's the thing I really like the most, are these huge dungeons that I can go and explore, and I just didn't get that same feeling with Breath of the Wild. While the open world was amazing and fun to explore, to me that's just half of the experience when it comes to a Zelda game.
I can respect that you think it's, at least on some level, a good game, but you just didn't enjoy it. I respect that. And I do understand where you're coming from with the dungeon side of things. I felt like I was missing big dungeons. And the other thing I was missing was a story. There was this huge story I felt like in Zelda that you only ever saw snippets of. It was a Zelda story that happened before the game started, and you saw these little memories. It never felt fleshed out enough, and sometimes you forgot what you were chasing.
Yeah, I felt that, and that was a big thing that kind of put me off as well, was the story. I just didn't feel connected with the story like I have previous Zelda games.
And that was something that I will say Mario did right. Now, we both just finished Mario today, actually pretty much at the same time on Halloween.
Granted, the Mario story is a bit simpler.
It was simpler, it was typical, it's the same story that we're used to, but it was in your face the entire game. At the end of every world, you had more story given to you. Even though it was simple, it kept moving along. It was kind of a short game, but it unlocked a bunch more once you finish.
And that's what blew me away, because I literally just had that discovery today. I beat the game for the first time. I realized that, hey, the game doesn't end. You can go back, collect all these stars, open up more worlds that weren't originally in the game. And that's what I absolutely love. And I'm going to get in depth with this with my review, because I'm actually going to review this game. Sort of review. It's going to become like kind of like a Mario retrospective with this game kind of tied in a review. But I'm going to go over that to where it was pretty much, in a way, a love letter of like, what is it, 25 years of Mario at this point?
I think it's 30 now.
30 years of Mario at this point. It's just a love letter to the franchise and to fans all over. First, I was kind of upset. Not necessarily upset, but kind of disappointed that the game seemed a little too easy. And
it was easy.
I realized now, though, after playing it, after beating it, there is a lot more to do in the game afterwards that's on a way higher difficulty level. Right now, I'm going through an endurance run, and It's not exactly, you know, super difficult, but it's much more challenging than the initial game was.
A lot of the challenge comes from going back, collecting everything, 100% of the game, that kind of stuff. And those kind of collectathon games have always been like that. Whereas the real challenge in Zelda, and I'm not counting the Korok seeds and all the shrines because that is ridiculous.
Some of that I'm just like,
there's no point.
How would you ever find it without a guidebook?
That you couldn't, and it just takes way too long. But the challenge in Zelda, not counting that because who cares, is the gameplay. It is how hard it is. It is trying to take down those liners. Combat. It's really intense, especially right from the start. It's really intense, and I love that a lot. So let's break it down into a few categories now that we've talked about what we love about both games. When it comes to gameplay and combat, when it comes to taking down enemies, or what the game is based around as far as the core gameplay, what did it better? Was it like the platforming of Mario, or was it the combat of Zelda?
That's such an apples and oranges question to me.
But fruit can be compared.
Man, they both do that pretty equally, in my opinion. Zelda does what Zelda's trying to do. I think it does great. What Mario's trying to do, I think what Mario is doing is really great as well.
Mario nailed it. It's fun. It's perfect. It's gameplay of Mario. But the thing is, it's kind of the same as it's been. It was the same as Galaxy. It was the same as Mario 64. It's just like, it's improved and it's built upon, but it's the same. Whereas Zelda was drastically rebuilt and improved. And I feel like, as far as that goes, Zelda deserves some extra bonus points for that because they really spent time into reworking the game.
Mario took a formula that worked and made another game with that formula with influence with every other game in the franchise. Zelda took something and built an entirely new world out of it. So yeah, Zelda definitely, I think, if you're going to give some more points to that, probably just from a standpoint of just all that effort that went into that and all that extra.
But here's the thing that I'll give in Mario's favor. Mario storyline and gameplay progression, and when you're sitting down and playing the game, Mario kicks Zelda's ass for keeping the game moving along and keep throwing new and fresh things at you while you're playing. Zelda kept throwing fresh things at you as long as you would go out and find them, but you could spend hours and hours and hours doing nothing and finding nothing and just being lost. Whereas in Mario, it was this place, this place, this place, this character, this character, this character, this cool thing, this cool thing, this cool thing. Nothing felt repetitive, not for a second.
And see, in both games, you have to explore. One's way more expansive than the other, obviously, Zelda. But when it came to the exploration part and enjoying that aspect of it, I much preferred Mario because I sat down and I was like, okay, what's around this corner? You know, what if I do this? What if I hit this bush? What if I put my hat around this? More fun to me to actually try to find secrets in Mario.
It's not only that, but there's like 14 different worlds that I've been to now, and I think there's more I can unlock. So it's not only just exploring this area and this area, it's Food World, Moon World.
And there's one other that I'm really excited to find because actually Eric spoiled it for me.
Stupid Eric.
I haven't gone to it yet, but I know it exists and I can't wait to actually find it.
And that is something that I think Mario has in its favor. I'm going to give to Mario. Here's something that I got to give to Mario as well, is the music. I loved Zelda, and actually a lot of the tracks in Zelda I've put on in the background while editing because it's so relaxing and calming. It has some really nice music. I actually would love to see the Zelda Symphony, to see them play those songs. But it didn't have that grab. It didn't have that Zelda music that I'm used to experiencing. For me, Breath of the Wild, the biggest letdown was the music. I love it, but it wasn't at the level I was expecting. Mario nailed the music. It was awesome. From start to finish, I loved everything. From the old songs that they redone, there was a part where you go underground and they redid the underworld music, which was amazing. The music in the last stage was like this huge rock ballad, and then there was
the rock ballad, and then at the very end
there was another song.
There was like singing. There was actual singing.
That was amazing. And then there was Pauline's song and Donk City.
And let me just add, that moment was one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
When you're going through there and like she's singing and it's like side-scrolling Super Mario
Donkey Kong.
And you're having to fight Donkey Kong.
I know.
It was like mixing Mario with Mario and Donkey Kong. It was just so cool.
And the music brings all of that up to a new level. That Zelda, the music never brought it up to that level. So Mario kicked ass with music. Gotta give that one to Mario. So for a final point, we can't do graphics because I feel like for what they both tried to do, they're on par and they both look amazing. We can't do replayability because they both have so many hours and you could play them again and again and again. So what's the last point? Because right now we're 2 for Mario and 1 for Zelda.
I can bring up what I think it could be, but I'm afraid that Zelda is going to get a point for it.
Do it. So, do it. Let me hear it.
All right.
I need a point here. I need a point.
All right, so Which one of these games, in your opinion, would you think kind of defined like a new generation? Like this is kind of a defining game on this system.
I think you did give Zelda a point
obviously,
there.
Obviously, I did give Zelda a point on that.
And to clarify why, Mario was amazing, but it was a love letter to all other Marios in one game. That was very much in the style of a lot of Marios that we've seen. Whereas Zelda, we haven't seen anything like this, and there isn't much coming back from it. Once you do something like that, once Nintendo takes Zelda to that level, you can't really bring it back to the formula they used to use. That would be really anticlimactic. They either have to do that kind of game again, but improved and better, or just completely blow us out of the water again with something crazy like they just done.
And the kind of the way I kind of look at it is, you say take kids and young adults or whatever, whoever's playing this game, growing up with it, Breath of the Wild, if you polled them like 20 years from now, they might look at this game as being like one of the greatest games of all time. Would they kind of have that same feeling towards Mario Odyssey? Probably not.
Maybe not as likely. I would say that it could happen. Definitely what is going to happen. Kids that this is the first game they ever played.
But not, I just, yeah.
But I think Zelda
would be like a 70-30 split on that. Yeah.
It would be more memorable on Zelda, and I think they definitely redefined what constitutes a Zelda. Whereas Mario didn't quite do that. It just gave us another awesome title, which in my opinion was probably the best Mario game I've played. So I think at the end of the day, the answer is obvious. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull out the... Oh.
Alright, well that's kind of funny, but...
I think the answer is obvious. I think we tied here. I mean, we pointed it all up, we tallied it all up, and our conclusion is pretty much that both games are awesome.
And I'm kind of looking at the screenshots of this, and now I'm wanting to go play it again.
I don't blame you. It's an amazing game. Hey, but what do you guys think? Let us know down below which game you think is better, or if you think it's also equally comparable. Remember to like the video, subscribe, because we become best friends, and check out Billy on his channel, The Game Chasers, because I know he'd appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for subscribing.
Yeah, subscribe to him too. Do you want to end on anything? I like to end on like a little bit of a goof and a gaff, a little bit of a joke.
If you think, what's the f?
I'll be the first to admit, I'm a Mario fanboy. I always have been. That doesn't mean, however, that I automatically like every game that comes out. In fact, far from it. But I wanted to check out Mario Odyssey, and after playing it, I guess you could say I've been somewhat inspired to make a video on it.